Hi everyone, this is our next upcycle tutorial for the Green Guardians. We're going to be making a reusable gift bag today that you can use for actually loads of things. It doesn't actually need to be a gift bag. I'm just doing this because it's the festive time coming up. I have made lots of these. I've got friends that have used them for produce bags, for toiletry bags, for like I've got a friend who uses it to keep all of her wee bits and pieces for her bike together in her bike pannier bag. So very versatile, you can make them any size that you like. Today I'm going to be using two pillowcases just because they've got a nice pattern on them. I thought it looked kind of festive. You can again use anything you want. One of these pillowcases I bought in a charity shop the other day. You could use an old tablecloth, you could use cushion covers, tote bags. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Tops, jumpers, anything that you like. And again, like I was saying, these can be made to any size. So if you've only got small bits of fabric that you want to maybe add lots of small bits of fabric together and make a bigger bit from that, but also you can make them teeny tiny as well. So I've got those. I've got two different ones. I have got some cord, or you can use ribbon, you can make your own, you can use bias binding that I'm just going to use to loop around the top to tie it in. I've got some little different colours of embroidery floss to do some embellishment later on, and a couple of other scrap bits of fabric that I wanted to use to maybe do some decoration. So I'm going to use a sewing machine today and my overlocker. You could hand sew this, it'll just take longer, but that's up to yourselves. You can rent a sewing machine from the tool library at Wood Farm Educational Centre, and I'll leave the link for that in the bio. And you don't need an overlocker. For anything that I overlock, you can use a zigzag stitch, or you could also just leave it. The only benefit of using that stitch is just stops it from fraying, but if you're not too fussed about that, then do that. We could also do a French seam as well, which maybe I'll do on one of them so I can show you if you don't have a machine that can do a zigzag stitch, or if you are hand sewing, I'll show you a French seam so that you can have those seams locked away. Okay, so just to begin with, I'll just show you what I've got again. Scissors, snips, some embroidery floss, these little stars that I made last year, I might sew them onto one of the bags. I've got a little bit of velvet, my two different pillowcases, some cord, another bit of cord that I'd made for something else, a bit clashy, pins, scissors, and cup of tea, very important, and my sewing machine. And you will also need an iron for this. Mine is off camera. You'll also need a ruler. There's always something I forget. So I've decided I'm going to make two sizes of bags today. I'm going to do a 20 by 20 centimeters one, and I'm going to do a 10 by 15 centimeters one. So all I'm going to do is chalk or pencil that. Chalk or a pencil would also be good, wouldn't it? Onto my pillowcases. I'm going to give my pillowcases a quick iron first, just means it'll be nice and flat, there's not going to be any bumps or lumps in them, and I am going to add on 5 centimeters at the top. So show you if I draw it out, if my bag is going to be 10 across, 15, it's actually going to be 20 and 10. My wee cat coming in. So this is what I'm going to add on. If this is my bag and it's going to be 15 and 10, I'm going to add on an extra 5 centimeter block at the top, and this is where our channel is going to be for our cords to go in. So any size that you want to make, just add 5 centimeters on the top, and that's what we're going to do. So I've now cut my two sets of squares, so I've got 2 of each one, and these are going to be my bags, my 10 by 15 that is now 20 by 10, and my 20 by 20, which was 25 by 20 in the end. I'm now going to overlock the edges of all of my sides. I'm going to overlock all my sides. If you're using a sewing machine, use a zigzag stitch and just do the same as we've talked about before, so just quite a small stitch, and you just want to be catching in the edge of the fabric, and it's just going to stop it from fraying. And I will leave, so I'll overlock all of I'll overlock all of this one, and I'll show you a French seam on this little one, and you can have a wee look at that. So I've got my two bits of my larger bag all overlocked off here, and I am going to be doing a French seam on one side. So to start with the French seam, you start, instead of doing your wrong sides together, instead of doing your right sides together, you do your wrong sides together, which feels very odd. And I'm just gonna sew a seam, a 1 centimeter seam down the edge of here. So going for 3 on my stitch size, just if anyone is doing that, and I'm not going to go all the way up, I'm going to go from 5 centimeters. So make a little mark here so I know where to go from. After this, so I think what I'll have to do, because we're putting in this little channel, pop a wee snip in here. After this, I am going to trim down my seam allowance to 0.5 centimeters, and this just means that when we sew the next part to sandwich it all in, there won't be any of our raw edges sticking out, and they will be protected. Then what we do, open this back out, give it a wee iron, and we're going to fold over and sew again from the wrong side. So this is back again. I'm just gonna sew another 1 centimeter seam from the bottom up to that, so I can tell that's where the 5 centimeters was, and just up to there. So that's my seam all done. I've sewn the channel down, and now it's all flat and it's all tidy. So that would be how to do it with a French seam, and I'm going to work in the same way for not using a French seam. So I've done one side, I'm going to sew down my other side, I'm going to use a 1 centimeter seam allowance, and then we're going to come to doing the top bit and the bottom bit. Okay, so the next step was to sew down the edges and along the bottom. What I've also done is I have folded back a 0.5 seam allowance on the top edge, and I've folded back just from my 1 centimeter seam allowance on the sides, so that I've got this going on at the top, this sort of wee corner. Again, that's going to get folded down and become the channel for our bags. So this is just, now I'm going to sew, not the best angle today, I'm sorry guys. So I'm going to sew down, across and back up and along, and repeat on the side. So I'm going to try and stay as close to the edge as I can, maybe just in at my overlocking. So I'm going to go down to where the join is at the 5 centimeters, back up, and then sew across the top, and the same on the other side. Sorry, wee camera mishap there. So I've got all my sides sewn up now. There's the top of the bag, nice and tidy. So now I'm just going to fold this edge down to, so fold it in half. I should have said you're free to make this as big as you want, but just because I had quite small bits of cord, I've just made mine a bit smaller. But you could make them, you could pull this down, like take this down, or add on 10 centimeters instead and make it a bit bigger. So I'm just going to fold this in half so that both of the finished ends meet, and then I'll thread it all up. So that's that finished. I'm just going to clip my corners at the bottom, which just give you a better point for turning your work through. Snipped off all my wee threads. that's my little bag. So I'm just going to thread this up and then think about how I'm going to decorate it. So to thread through your cord, I've just tied mine off at the ends because I think it looks nice like that, if you're just because otherwise it's so free. But with the other one, if it's material or ribbon, I'm just going to put a safety pin through the end and just feed this through the channel that we've made. So I've made a mistake and I've used cord that's too thick for my bag, but the idea would be I would take this and loop it round again so that you could pull these bits and close it, but I'm just gonna tie mine, you know? That's fine. It's like a little happy accident. I'm gonna add a little bit of applique onto mine now, and then I will make up the other one and I'll show you the finished products. Alright, we're done. There was so many problems with my machine trying to finish this. So the little one, it worked. And I've added on a little bit of embroidery on the front. And then I've just added on this little applique heart, which I think is pretty cute on this one. So I hope I can edit this into a cohesive video for you all. I think this is a really nice project to do though, because you can do it with kids, and I would say if you're going to put any sewing on them or anything, do that first before you put everything together, because it's quite hard to get my hand into this little bag. But these are really good. You can use them for so many different things, and obviously not just for the festive period. They can be for gifts, they can be for you know, baby showers, for anything. And using wrapping paper, although we can recycle it, you can't recycle all of it. It depends if there's plastic on it or if there's glitter on it, and it's one thing that we really don't need to be buying right now. So get yourself your wee leftover pillowcases or any materials that are looking tired and sad, and give them a new lease of life with this project. Okay, bye.